They laughed in my face when I asked about rent. My own parents said, "Why should your brother pay? He has a family, you don't. You're single, you'll never need the whole house." In that moment, my blood boiled, but I stayed silent. They didn't know the papers in my bag could change everything, and the smile on my brother's face would soon disappear. And before I continue, make sure to hit like, share this story, and subscribe. Because trust me, what happens next will leave you shocked. I watched as my brother and his wife casually walked around my duplex, acting like they already owned the place. His wife whispered, "We can turn this room into a nursery and that one into a guest room," as if I didn't even exist. My parents nodded in agreement, saying, "Yes, this will be perfect for you two." Nobody even looked at me for permission. It felt like I was invisible in my own home, but deep down, I knew they were walking straight into the trap they had set for me. They thought I was weak, powerless, and easy to push aside, but they were about to learn that I had prepared for this moment for years. My brother leaned back on the sofa like a king, saying, "Ophelia, you should be grateful. At least your house will finally be useful for something. Otherwise, it's just wasted space." His wife laughed, adding, "And don't worry, we'll take care of the place better than you ever could." Every word stabbed deeper, but I kept my face calm. My parents nodded proudly at them, like this was the most natural thing in the world. It was as if they had already decided my future for me, without even asking. Inside, my hands were shaking, but not from fear, from anger. They didn't know how many nights I had worked, how many sacrifices I had made to buy this duplex. I had skipped meals, worked double shifts, and lived in a tiny room just to save enough money for the down payment. I had built this place brick by brick with my hard work, and now they wanted to hand it over for free? My father looked straight at me and said coldly, "We're your parents. We raised you, so don't argue. Let your brother live here with his family. It's your duty to support him." My mother added softly, "You're single, Ophelia. You don't need much space anyway. This way you'll still have a roof and your brother's family won't struggle." But I could see it. The manipulation, the guilt-tripping, the way they twisted everything to make me look selfish if I said no. My brother smirked. "Come on, Ophelia. Don't be stubborn. Think of us. Think of the children we'll have here. It's not like you're ever going to fill this house with your own family." That line cut deep. I clenched my jaw, holding back my words. They thought I was cornered. They thought I would stay silent forever. But what they didn't know was that in my bag sat a folder with documents, proof of ownership, rental agreements I had already prepared, and a legal clause that would make sure no one could ever live here without my permission. I had been underestimated all my life, and I had learned one thing: never show your hand until the exact right moment. The air in the room grew heavier. They laughed, they mocked, they dismissed me like I was nothing. But in my heart, I knew one thing: this conversation wasn't going to end the way they thought. The decision wasn't just talked about inside our house. My parents carried it straight into the next big family dinner. In front of uncles, aunts, and cousins, my father proudly announced, "We've decided Ophelia's duplex will now belong to her brother and his family. She doesn't need it, and he deserves stability." The table burst into fake congratulations. My brother grinned ear to ear, already acting like the new owner, while his wife leaned close to one of my cousins, whispering, "Finally, we'll live in a proper house, not that tiny rental." I sat there quietly, pretending to sip from my glass, but my heart was burning. The whispers around me grew louder. "Poor Ophelia, she always ends up giving everything away." Another cousin laughed. "She never had a family, so of course her property goes to the one who does." Each word was like a dagger. My cheeks flushed, but not from shame, from the rage boiling inside me. Then my brother raised his glass and mocked me openly. "Let's thank my dear sister for her generosity. Without her sacrifice, my kids wouldn't have a safe home to grow up in. She might not know how to build a family, but at least she knows how to support one." Laughter erupted around the table. Even my parents smiled proudly, as if his insult was a joke worth celebrating. For a moment, I almost let them believe I was defeated. I lowered my eyes, my silence convincing them I had accepted everything. But deep down, I was calculating. They thought I was powerless, but what none of them knew was that I had been planning this day for weeks. The duplex wasn't just a house. It was the cornerstone of something much bigger, something none of them could even imagine. I placed my glass down slowly, my hands steady now. I looked around the table at every face mocking me, every smirk, every whisper. They thought they had humiliated me, but what they didn't know was that their laughter was about to freeze in their throats. Because I wasn't about to lose everything. I was about to take everything back. My father leaned back in his chair, satisfied, as if the decision was final and sealed. My mother placed her hand on his and said, "It's the right thing. Ophelia doesn't need much. She's always been alone, while your brother has responsibilities." That one word, alone, echoed in my ears like a curse. They had always used it to define me, as if not having children or a husband meant I was incomplete. I forced a smile and asked calmly, "So, you've already decided my duplex belongs to them?" My brother leaned forward arrogantly. "Yes, you should be happy your property will finally serve a real purpose. I'll handle the bills, the renovations, everything. You don't have to worry about it anymore." He smirked like he was doing me a favor. His wife added with a laugh, "We'll finally bring life into that empty place." It was wasted space anyway, that was it. I leaned closer, my voice firm but cold. "You're right. It isn't wasted. But you're wrong about one thing, it doesn't belong to you. It never did." Silence dropped like a stone in the room. Forks froze midair, smiles vanished. My father frowned. "What do you mean by that, Ophelia?" I stood slowly, my eyes scanning the room. "You've all made decisions about my life without asking me, without respecting me. But none of you ever wondered why I stayed quiet all these years. You thought I was weak, disposable, good for nothing but sacrifice. But the truth is, I've been building something you can't even begin to grasp." The color drained from my brother's face. He tried to laugh it off. "What could you possibly build? You barely manage yourself." His arrogance made a few chuckles return around the table, but they were nervous now, shaky. I reached into my bag and pulled out a folder, dropping it in the middle of the table. Inside were property deeds, business contracts, and bank statements. "This duplex is just a fraction of what I own. While you laughed at me, mocked me, and called me worthless, I've built an empire. And you're all sitting here, fighting over scraps, when the truth is, I'm already steps ahead of you." My brother's smirk collapsed. My parents' proud faces turned pale. The laughter in the room vanished completely. I crossed my arms, letting the silence stretch. "So tell me again, Father, who really doesn't need much?" My mother's hand trembled as she flipped through the papers, her lips moving but no words coming out. My father's jaw clenched, the veins in his neck tightening as if he couldn't process what he was seeing. My brother, on the other hand, shoved the folder back toward me with a sneer. "This must be fake. Some stupid trick to scare us. You don't have the brains or the guts to pull something like this off." I leaned in close, my voice low but sharp enough to cut through every doubt. "Really? Should I call the lawyer who helped me register these properties? Or maybe I should invite the bank manager who's been handling my accounts. I can make one phone call right now, and your little fantasy of moving into my duplex will collapse like the lies you've been feeding me all my life." The room buzzed with unease. My father barked, "Enough! You will not speak to your brother like this. He has a family to care for. He has responsibilities you could never understand." His words stung, but I didn't flinch this time. "I don't have children, yes," I replied firmly, "but don't ever mistake that for weakness. While you all pitied me, I worked in silence. Every insult you threw at me was fuel. Every time you dismissed me, I built something bigger. And now, Father, my so-called wasted life has outgrown every single one of your expectations." My brother's wife scoffed, though her voice cracked. "If you're so successful, why hide it? Why keep it secret?" I looked at her and smiled coldly. "Because silence is the sharpest weapon, and tonight, it cuts through all of you." The table fell into complete silence. Even the children, sensing the tension, were frozen. The balance of power had shifted in an instant, and for the first time they weren't laughing at me. They were afraid of me. I let the weight of my words linger, then added, "You wanted to take my home for free. But what you didn't know is that I own the ground you're standing on." My father's voice cracked as he finally asked, "Ophelia, what are you saying?" Everyone leaned in, desperate for an answer, but I didn't give it away so easily. I stood, walking slowly toward the window, letting the silence stretch long enough to make them squirm. Then I turned back, my eyes locked on them. I'm saying this duplex was only the beginning. While you thought I was wasting my life, I built an empire. I own 3 more rental properties across the city. I own the office building where your precious company rents its space, Father. And the land your best friend's shop stands on? That's mine too. Gasps filled the room. My brother's smug smile drained from his face as I pulled out the last paper, a signed eviction notice. I dropped it onto the table like a hammer. So here's the truth. You will not live here. You will not touch what's mine. And if you try, you'll find yourselves on the street faster than you can blink. My mother shook her head in disbelief, whispering, "We only wanted to help your brother." But her excuse sounded hollow now. For years they'd chosen him over me, dismissed me as nothing. Now they sat in stunned silence, realizing the one they mocked had risen higher than any of them. I picked up my bag, my voice calm but unshakable. This house is not your charity project. This house is my victory. And tonight, you finally learn what it feels like to be on the outside. Without another word, I walked out the door, leaving them in the ruins of their own entitlement. For the first time, I wasn't the forgotten daughter. I was the storm they never saw coming.